Beneath the neon surface of 1980s Los Angeles, a predator operated within the city's shadows. He hunted along these avenues for over 2 decades, targeting victims in a concentrated geographic area. During the initial wave of murders, police faced a complete lack of physical evidence. The killer left no fingerprints and no witnesses, rendering traditional investigative methods ineffective against his specific patterns. This ability to vanish, combined with an unexplained decade-long halt in his activity, eventually led investigators to call him the Grim Sleeper. The sheer length of his operation created a pervasive sense of vulnerability across the city, as a known threat remained active but completely invisible to the authorities. In 1988, the murders stopped. This marked the start of a 13-year hiatus where the killer seemingly abandoned his hunting grounds. For over a decade, the trail remained cold. Across the vast expanse of Los Angeles, the perpetrator lived a quiet life, his identity shielded by the passage of time and the lack of new forensic leads. The silence left investigators with a set of open questions. Had the killer moved, been incarcerated for another crime, or was he simply waiting in plain sight for the right moment to return? As the years passed without a single new lead, the crimes of the 1980s became historical artifacts, separated from the present day by a gap of nearly 14 years. While the case files sat dormant, the field of forensic science underwent a massive technical shift in the 2000s. Standard DNA testing at the time relied on a direct match. To identify a suspect, their specific genetic profile had to already exist in a criminal database like CODIS. This was the primary bottleneck in the Grim Sleeper investigation. Police had DNA samples from multiple crime scenes, but because the killer had no prior felony convictions that required a DNA swab, his profile was missing from the system. Traditional forensics reached a limit here. The science was capable of identifying him, but it lacked the reference data needed to attach a name to the genetic code. In 2010, the Los Angeles Police Department turned to a relatively new technique, familial DNA searching. This diagram shows the logic of a familial search. Instead of looking for a 100% match, the software scans the database for partial genetic overlaps, markers that indicate a suspect's close biological relative is already in the system. In 2010, a search of the California state database returned a hit. By tracing the lineage from this partial match back to a common ancestor, investigators identified a specific family line that shared DNA with the evidence from the 1980s. The hit belonged to a young man whose DNA had been entered into the system following a felony conviction. He was the son of Lonnie David Franklin Jr., a discovery that effectively narrowed the decades-old search to a single person. The killer's history was ultimately exposed by his own biology. His son's presence in a modern database provided the biological link that decades of detective work could not find. The investigation culminated in the 2010 arrest of Lonnie David Franklin Jr., a former trash collector and garage attendant who lived in the heart of the community where the crimes occurred. Following a lengthy trial, Franklin was convicted in 2016 for 10 murders and 1 attempted murder, though he is suspected of many more. This finally brought a close to the city's longest-running serial murder investigation. Franklin had remained undetected for over 20 years, but while he remained silent, the genetic material he left at the scenes remained chemically stable, waiting for the technology to evolve. The 13-year gap in his crimes did not erase his involvement. The permanence of genetic evidence bypassed the traditional decay of a cold case timeline. The resolution of the Grim Sleeper case shifted the standards of forensic investigation. An empty database profile is no longer a terminal point for a case. Familial searching has since been used to resolve dozens of cold cases worldwide, changing the fundamental relationship between a criminal and their own DNA. For the victims' families, this technology provided factual answers that had been obscured for decades, ending the uncertainty that defined their lives since the 1980s. The pursuit of the Grim Sleeper serves as a technical warning. A perpetrator can stop their crimes and hide for years, but their genetic code acts as a permanent record that eventually science will learn to read.